This abused retriever was born without eyes, but now he's brightening lives in the most beautiful way. When rescuers found Smiley the dog, he'd spent his whole life alone and in the dark, literally, and the golden retriever born without eyes in a barbaric puppy farm had almost certainly never known happiness. Puppy mills, pretty much anywhere, are brutal places for dogs to be born. The commercial breeding facilities are notorious for their squalid living conditions and lack of basic animal care. For any canine living there with a disability, though, life is even tougher. We were in a barn with about 85 dogs. It took us 5 tries to go in there because we were trying not to vomit from the smell, George told the Washington Post in 2015. Once inside the barn, however, the technician spotted Smiley. And what she saw was heartbreaking. Little Smiley had been born with no eyes. Most likely the defect was a result of the dog's dwarfism. Worse still, someone had sewn his eyes shut, giving him a constantly happy look. But Smiley was far from being the happy camper that his name suggests, not least because the 2-year-old pup had further injuries on his face and ears. No doubt he'd been in some fights with other dogs at the mill. Of course, though, each and every rescued dog would need a home, and as a result, George and her colleagues posted adverts for the pups in an Ontario veterinary clinic. Until Smiley found his perfect family, he went to live with George, and the dog was not without his problems. He was extremely destructive and had 0 house training, the technician revealed on her website. He was nervous and had many anxieties about coming into a home. He cowered at the sound of another dog eating, George continued. The scars on his face and ears told me the stories of what it was like living with so many dogs in such deplorable conditions. So Smiley settled down permanently with George and her partially deaf Great Dane, Tyler. And thanks to his boundless energy, Tyler brought Smiley out of his shell. And Smiley's seemingly magical abilities with humans led George to decide to train the Golden Retriever as a therapy dog. People were so drawn to him, so inspired by him, George told CBS News in 2015. As a consequence, George and Smiley began working with the St. John Ambulance Therapy Dog Program, and the adorable retriever now spends his days visiting hospitals, schools, and care homes. According to his owner, Smiley connects well with people because, being blind, he's more attuned to their emotions. Because he needs to feel you, he sits there forever waiting to be patted and stroked, George revealed in her Huffington Post interview. He leans up against you, she continued. He's never been able to see, so he's had to learn to understand his other amazing senses. Much of Smiley's work, meanwhile, is with children, in particular, as a support dog for kids experiencing bereavement. In addition, he's also visited children with autism and other special needs. And during Smiley's work, it seemed that the cute canine was a natural at putting people at ease. During one visit to a nursing home, moreover, George realized her dog could touch even the hardest to reach people. Teddy had no way of communicating. He couldn't speak, and some members of staff said they'd never seen him smile. That was, of course, until Smiley came along. What's more, while seeing Smiley in action, it's easy to forget that he had to overcome his own disability, and this alone is enough for George to consider her pet an inspiration. Smiley has now been helping other people for almost a decade, and although his fur may be slightly graying and his steps are becoming ever slower, the dog can still make people happy with a wag of his tail. Simply through his infectious cheer, in fact, Smiley has changed hundreds of lives.